Lately, after Ben takes a bath, there are white threads floating in the bathtub. When I ask Ben about it, he just avoids the question. The night before Ben went on a business trip, he gave me some aromatherapy oil that was said to help with morning sickness. I used it every night as Ben told me to. But then I started experiencing severe pain in my lower abdomen and had to call an ambulance. When I explained the situation at the maternity clinic, the doctor started shaking. The doctor said it was an aroma that could endanger both the mother and the baby. Suspecting Ben's infidelity, I called his company and found out that he had taken days off coinciding with Bonnie. I went to Bonnie's apartment and waited in the car. Across the street, I saw Ben and Bonnie coming. "I'm looking forward to start living with you soon. If this plan works, we can send Cindy back to her parents' house. If she loses the baby and becomes emotionally unstable, it wouldn't be strange for us to separate. It's her fault for getting pregnant without considering how much I dislike children." I buried my face in the steering wheel and sobbed. Eventually, I lifted my face and swore revenge on Ben and Bonnie. I will never forgive them. I am Cindy, a 40-year-old housewife. I met Ben at work and we got married 5 years ago. Ben works for a major corporation. He's a regular employee but is earnest in his work and earns a good salary. Recently, I finally got pregnant. I am looking forward to meeting our baby as I look at the ultrasound pictures. But lately, I've been feeling incredibly anxious. Ben has been acting strange. Eventually, I realized his true nature, and my spine chilled. Ben and I got close when I was assigned to his team at a subsidiary company where he worked. Ben wasn't the type to work aggressively, but he was liked by his boss and adored by his colleagues and juniors. I, who am bad at communicating and take time to open up to others, admired Ben. So when he asked me out, I seriously doubted what he saw in me. When I dared to ask him during his proposal, he answered with a gentle smile. "I like that you seem modest and obedient. And I like your looks, too." As someone self-conscious about being petite and having a baby face, I was surprised but also felt joy. Later, we asked Ben's boss to mediate our marriage, and we got married. The first year went by without any major issues, as we were both excited about our new life together. However, as the second year approached, I started to struggle with balancing work and household chores. Ben, who had promised to share the household duties before we got married, started to leave all the chores to me. "I know it's hard since you work full-time too, but I just can't relax in a messy house." I was puzzled by Ben's complaint. I kept up with the dishes and laundry diligently. It was just that I couldn't find time to vacuum every day, so there was a bit of dust in the corners. I wipe with a cleaning sheet every day. It's a condominium, after all. It would be a nuisance to vacuum early in the morning or late at night. Right, but I like cleanliness. This makes me uncomfortable. Despite saying that, Ben's study was always a mess. I was told not to enter his study, so I only glanced from the hallway. The sight of his cluttered room, with empty snack bags, empty cans of beer, and car magazines scattered around, horrified me. His desk at work is organized because he cares about appearances. Ben's complaints continued. Lately, the meals have been sloppy too. It's all just reheated pre-made food. I want to eat something freshly made, but this is no different from ready-made side dishes. I couldn't believe my ears. I prepared the meals on my days off, and he compares them to store-bought side dishes. Listen. Keeping the house spotless, working full-time, and always preparing fresh meals is impossible without hiring a housekeeper. Then why don't you quit your job? Ben said this with a cool expression. But you should just become a stay-at-home wife. I'll work to support us. A wave of anxiety washed over me. Living as a couple might be manageable, but what about when we have children? Wouldn't we run short on education funds? As I hesitated to respond, Ben looked into my face and smiled gently. I'm just worried about your health. It's tough to see you exhausted every day. Ben. Please, become a stay-at-home wife. I took pride in my work. The environment was good, and I wanted to keep working there until retirement if possible. But I didn't want to worry Ben. After much deliberation and being regretfully seen off by my colleagues and boss, I resigned. I've been shy since I was a child, taking time to warm up to people. But once I do, I form deep, long-lasting relationships. So, I vowed to always cherish Ben, whom I had bonded with. Ben cherished me too. However, as soon as I became a stay-at-home wife and started to rely on Ben's income, he began to adopt an intimidating attitude towards me. Hey? The orthopedic clinic you go to, did the doctor change? Yes. It used to be a woman doctor, remember? When I went after a long time, her son in his 20s was the one who examined me. His mother retired, and he took over as the head of the clinic. When I mentioned going to the hospital after spraining my leg, Ben showed his displeasure. Then, stop going there. Go to the hospital in the next town where a female doctor works. But they told me to keep coming until it's completely healed. No way. He raised his voice unusually. Just the thought of you getting your leg touched by a young man makes me feel sick. Are you okay with that? I was shocked by Ben's words. It's a doctor's examination, it can't be helped. There are other doctors. Change to the next town from the next time. Otherwise, I'll stop giving you money for the consultations. Reluctantly agreeing to Ben's wishes, I changed to a hospital in the next town. I laughed to myself, thinking how jealous he was, but it soon stopped being a laughing matter. The next thing Ben complained about was my regular hair salon. When I said I would have to go to a male hairdresser next time. Because my usual stylist was on maternity leave, he secretly went to the salon. Only to come back and find fault. That guy is no good at cutting hair. Paying $50 for such a cut is a ripoff. Why don't you change to someone else? I was startled internally, but calmly explained. That's the going rate around here. He's well regarded among people I know for being skilled. How? He's just popular for his looks. He's definitely making moves on his clients. Don't say that. He has a wife and kids. Then it's an affair. Ben sneered. Just thinking of him touching your hair with those sleazy hands makes me so angry I can't sleep at night. Huh? It's just a haircut. Stop making a fuss. Despite my objection, I eventually switched to another salon because he wouldn't stop nagging. Soon, Ben started to find fault even with me going out for a bit. It's strange for a housewife to be out and about all the time. You should be more devoted to your husband. What's that about? I do take care of the housework properly. I didn't quit my job just to be cooped up at home. Hey, I want to go back to work. I think I can manage it if it's part-time. No. Ben flatly rejected the idea. The housework will surely be neglected. I'm supporting us, so what are you dissatisfied with? I was at a loss for words at Ben's frowning face. When I discussed this with my university friend, Ariel, she was also astonished. Ariel works in the HR department at Ben's workplace. Ben listens to our opinions at work and doesn't exhibit any disdain towards women. But I guess he's different in private. He uses male chauvinism as a weapon, and it's stressful. But I don't want to fight with Ben, and since he doesn't verbally abuse me, I'm at a loss on how to handle it. Sipping coffee at a cafe, I sighed. If it gets any worse, consult me. I'm on your side, Cindy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Although I smiled in response, I gradually became reluctant to go out and started to spend my days in a gloomy mood. One day, I felt unwell for a while. When I tried a pregnancy test, it was positive. I couldn't help but scream in the bathroom. I was overjoyed to tears, having almost given up due to my age. When Ben came home and I told him, he stiffened for a moment before forcing a smile. Really? I can't believe it. Me neither. I'll go to the hospital tomorrow to get it checked. I'll make sure it's a female doctor. When are we going to tell my parents? Let's wait until I enter a stable period. Right. We don't know yet if it will be born safely. Though I felt uneasy at Ben's words, it was the truth. For now, I decided to focus on giving birth to a healthy baby. However, contrary to my buoyant heart, Ben seemed unwelcoming of the pregnancy. He had always said he wasn't good with kids. And we had agreed to give up if we couldn't conceive naturally. But I had hoped he would change his mind once we had our own child. I thought, people who aren't good with kids often end up loving their own. Knowing many such cases around me. So, I casually brought up baby-related topics every day, hoping to make the pregnancy feel more real to him. Modern names are so stylish, aren't they? I hear gender-neutral names are in trend these days too. I kept talking to Ben, who was absorbed in his phone. What kind of names do you like, Ben? Can't you see I'm busy? I'll leave it up to you, Cindy. His indifferent attitude was disheartening. On another day. You're taking a day off soon, right? There's a prenatal checkup on that day. Let's go together. Why should a man go? It's got nothing to do with me. I felt my face stiffen. It's got nothing to do with me is not something a father should say. Ben added, half-jokingly. I'm not good with horror movies. So I'm not going to be in the room when you give birth, okay? I was utterly disappointed by the comparison. Here I was, facing childbirth, a life-risking endeavor. However, plagued by morning sickness, I didn't have the energy to argue with Ben. Nausea, drowsiness, and lethargy made it nearly impossible for me to stand in the kitchen or do any cleaning. It wasn't unusual for me to spend the entire day lethargically on the sofa. I was worried Ben would complain. But it seemed even he found it difficult to grumble. When I had to rush to the bathroom so frequently. While carrying laundry through the hallway, I remembered hearing the shower running. Come to think of it, there were always white threads floating in the bathtub after Ben bathed. Thinner than hair, when scooped up, they were about 3 centimeters long. When I asked Ben about it, after a brief silence, he chuckled and shrugged. That's just dirt. You've been slacking on cleaning the bath, haven't you, Cindy? No, it's nothing like that. I can't quite explain it. Yeah. Let's try to clean more diligently, shall we? I felt brushed off, but wanting to avoid a confrontation, I decided not to pursue it further. Since I didn't want to bathe in a tub with unidentified floating objects, I settled for showers only for the time being. The connection between Ben and the threads remained unclear. His recent pattern of late returns from work and increased business trips made me wonder if there was a relation. One Friday, Ben approached me with a big smile. I've got a business trip to Osaka starting tomorrow. Sorry, Cindy, it's tough with your morning sickness, and I'm leaving you alone for a week. It's your job, it can't be helped. Take care. Yeah. By the way, I got something good. He handed me a stylish white box. Inside were 7 small bottles with black lids. Is this aroma oil? Yeah. It's supposed to help with morning sickness. Ben was excited. A colleague's wife tried it, and it seems her appetite came back. Really? How do you use it? Dropping it into the bathtub to make an aroma bath seems effective. I asked for the instructions and wrote them down. Use it just like this. I'm not fond of artificial scents and have nothing to do with aroma oils or incense. It was helpful that Ben wrote down the instructions. As I read the memo, Ben stressed with a serious face. Okay. Make sure to do it every day. It's for you and the baby's sake. Got it. Thank your colleague for me. From the day Ben left on his business trip, I soaked in the aroma bath every night. Without the white threads in sight, I could relax in the bath. Let's see, 1 bottle per 200 liters of water? That's quite a lot to use. As I poured it into the tub, a sharp scent rose with the steam. It seemed relaxing and potentially beneficial for the baby. The effect wasn't immediate, but by the time Ben returned from his trip, my appetite might have returned. With that hope, I continued using it, reaching the 5th day. During the bath, I suddenly felt a dull pain in my lower abdomen. Thinking it was just constipation, I underestimated it, but the pain intensified rapidly. Groaning in pain, I changed into my clothes and called an ambulance. The fear that something might have happened to the baby was overwhelming. I was taken to my regular maternity clinic and tried to explain my condition to the female head doctor, who grimaced. Did you put bath additives in your bath? I took aroma baths. The doctor frowned. My husband got it from a colleague. It's supposed to help with morning sickness. The cause of the abdominal pain is unknown, so I brought it just in case. I handed over the memo and the bottle of aroma oil Ben had written about. And the doctor's face went pale and started to shake. Doctor? You've been using this daily in a closed bathroom? Yes. After hesitating, the doctor spoke in a firm voice. The herbs used in this aroma oil can cause uterine contractions. It's strictly forbidden for pregnant women. The baby might be at risk. Everything went dark before my eyes. I felt faint but somehow kept my consciousness and urgently requested an examination. Fortunately, the baby was fine. My body would recover with some rest, I was told. I stayed in the hospital that night and took a taxi home the next morning. Even after returning home, I was still in disbelief. Following Ben's instructions had nearly endangered our baby. Filled with rage, I couldn't rest until I confronted Ben. I waited until his lunch break to call his mobile, but it just rang endlessly. Suddenly, a bad feeling crossed my mind. His recent indifferent attitude, the sudden increase in overtime and business trips, and now this incident. I've heard that many husbands cheat during their wife's pregnancy. Deciding to inquire further, I called Ariel. Sorry to bother you during your break, but... Ariel gasped on the other end of the phone. You're in a place with cell service now? What are you talking about? Aren't you supposed to be feeling sick from morning sickness? And gone back to your hometown? I heard it's a place with no signal. So I refrained from sending messages. With Ben taking care of you, I thought everything would be okay. I'm at home. What? What do you mean? Ben is supposedly on a business trip to Osaka. I could hear Ariel sigh. He wanted to prevent me from contacting you, afraid his affair would be discovered. That's what it is. Hey, any female employees taking leave during the same period? Just a moment. It's Bonnie from the accounting department. Want her address? Yes, please. The anger was stronger than the shock. I was certain Ben was there. After hanging up, I drove to the address Ariel had given me. The nausea from morning sickness was blown away by my anger. I parked my car where I could see the front entrance of the mansion and waited for Ben and Bonnie to appear. My car was common enough to not arouse suspicion. About an hour later, I saw a couple holding hands across the street. Ben and the woman with flashy makeup must be Bonnie. Ben, weighed down by a heavy eco bag, seemed elated. Seeing him cheating while I suffered made my cheeks burn with anger. It's like we're newlyweds. So fun. Her shrill voice echoed through the street. I can't wait to live with you, Ben. If this plan works, we can send Cindy back to her parents. Divorce might be hard, but separation is safe. Bonnie agreed with Ben's smugness. If she loses the baby and becomes emotionally unstable, separating won't seem strange at all. You're so smart. It's her fault for getting pregnant when I'm not good with kids. Even after they disappeared into the mansion, I remained stunned for a while. Then, intense fury surged from within. Tears overflowed from my eyes without warning. I felt pathetic and ridiculous. Nauseated by my own inability to see through and trust such a person. I sobbed, face down on the steering wheel. Eventually, lifting my head, I clenched my teeth and swore revenge on Ben and Bonnie. Ben and Bonnie. I will never forgive them. 2 days later, Ariel and I took an afternoon off and headed to Bonnie's mansion. I waited outside the entrance hall to stay out of view of the intercom camera. Yes. Oh, Ariel? What brings you here? When Ariel pressed the intercom, Bonnie immediately responded. Her sugary voice grated on my ears. Weren't you supposed to bring those documents home to finish? You left some materials at your desk. Bonnie was easily deceived by Ariel's lie. Oh no. How careless of me. Thank you. I'll go and get them now. It's okay. I'll deliver it to your room. Really? Then, please. I'll buzz you in. Once the door opened, we took the elevator up to Bonnie's room. To avoid being caught on camera, I stayed back while Ariel summoned Bonnie. Soon, the door opened to reveal Bonnie in a hair turban and loungewear. A shower in the mid-afternoon, how luxurious. They might have plans to get cozy later. Ariel, you're a lifesaver. Really dependable, eek. Bonnie let out a sharp scream when I suddenly appeared. She tried to close the door, but I wedged my bag in. Forced my hand through the gap, and pried the door open. Bonnie, resigned, allowed Ariel and me to enter. From a half-opened room, I could hear Ben talking in baby talk. Creeping down the hallway, I peeked into the room to find Ben, in just his underwear. Lowering his eyes as he brushed a long-haired cat. Kit, stay still, you're such a good boy. I'll give you a treat later. Your fur is so silky today, the most handsome cat in the world. Meow. So, the mystery of the white threads was solved. They were hairs from a white cat. No wonder if he brushed the cat half naked, hairs would be everywhere. Did he not even rinse off before soaking in the bath? Knowing that his pregnant wife would use it after? Ugh. Disgusting. My anger boiled as I saw Ben affectionately caring more for his affair partner's cat than our unborn child. The first to notice my resentful gaze was the cat. It flinched, looking scared, and fled to a corner of the room. What's wrong, Kit? Let's play with Daddy. Since when did you become a cat's father? Or did you get Bonnie pregnant too? Upon my entrance, Ben's eyes widened. Why? Ben, your actions were too careless. Ben startled as Ariel appeared behind me. That's right, you're friends with Ariel. With a resigned sigh from Ben, Bonnie clung to him from behind. Ben, we got caught. It's okay, Bonnie. Leave it to me. Ben, standing proudly in just his underwear, was almost comical in this situation, making me want to laugh despite everything. How are you feeling, Cindy? I've told you countless times about my morning sickness. No, I mean, if you could come here, you must be fine, right? Didn't you use the aroma oil, ma'am? Bonnie interjected. That's why both mother and child are healthy.
Ah.
Right. You should trust your husband more. Their smugness and Ben's disappointed look enraged me. I did use it. I was so happy thinking Ben was concerned about me. Then I was struck with severe pain and had to call an ambulance. I was nearly too late. I shouted at them, and Bonnie cut in with her saccharine tone. What a pity. A baby that's not wanted by daddy should just disappear. Excuse me? Do you realize what you've done? You tried to take the lives of both me and my baby. That's not true. Ben chuckled dismissively. It's not even born yet, so it's weird to treat it like a person. Or are you even pregnant? You just said that to grab my attention because you sensed I was cheating, right? Exactly. And the whole morning sickness thing was just an act, wasn't it? Their laughter made my brain feel like it was boiling. I showed you the ultrasound. Or you borrowed it from another pregnant woman. Your stomach is flat, so I can't trust you. Maybe it's someone else's baby. Enough from you too. Despite Ariel's scolding, Ben and Bonnie just kept smirking. Well, even if it is my kid, I don't want it. The word unwanted tore through my heart. You did this without my consent, doing whatever you want. Such unnecessary behavior. Hey, why are you so against this? Does the idea of becoming a father scare you that much? Are you not good with babies? When confronted, Ben frowned and retorted. Of course, I hate it. Who's going to take care of me when the baby is born? Ben vented his frustrations about me. Cindy, you were cute when we got married, but you've become ugly as you aged. Pregnant, you're even worse. Thin, pale, your skin's rough. You've lost all femininity. He pointed at me, yelling. To think I married you, an embarrassing 35-year-old hag. Well, Ben, you've gained weight and are losing hair. Becoming quite the middle-aged man yourself. My words were completely ignored by Ben. And lately, all you talk about is the baby. Have you forgotten I'm the priority? You're my wife, you should prioritize me. I don't care about the baby in your stomach. I was dumbfounded by his claims. Such childishness. Knowing someone like him would be the father meant misery for both me and the baby. Bonnie, who had been gleefully listening to Ben's tirade, chimed in. Ben's not interested in a 40-year-old hag. A young and beautiful woman like me is more suitable. Right. Any young and pretty girl would do for you. Ariel and I exchanged glances and nodded. Ariel then took out not documents, but photographs from a large envelope she had brought. As Bonnie curiously watched Ariel lay the photos out on the living room table, Ben's previously arrogant demeanor vanished, replaced by an awkward expression. You know about these girls, right, Bonnie? They all work in the same sales department as Ben. What are these? I've collected evidence. Let the fun begin. Ignoring Ben's feeble protests, Ariel pressed play on her phone's voice recorder. I'm secretly dating Ben. Bonnie? She's an old lady at 28. He's switched to someone younger, like me. Ben told me I'm his ideal woman. We've been dating for 3 months. He's getting a divorce soon, right? Ben said to keep our office romance a secret to avoid trouble. Going to the hot springs during his business trip was fun. As Bonnie's eyes widened in shock, Ben looked on in disbelief. Ariel, how did you know I was dating these girls? You've applied for leave and overtime on the same days as them multiple times. I work in HR, so it was obvious. When I pressed them, they spilled the beans happily. They were dying to talk. To a 24-year-old, 28 and 40 are both just old, right? Mocking her, Bonnie's face flushed with embarrassment. With tears in her eyes, Bonnie looked up at Ben resentfully and squeezed out her words. Horrible. I can't believe you've been with others besides me. No, it's not like that. You're the most important, Bonnie. You're my main girl, the others were just for fun. Ben stuttered, trying to explain himself. Look, guys need a break, right? I can be kind to you because I let off steam with other women. You like the kind version of me, don't you? It felt like my head was about to explode. Instead of making lame excuses, why couldn't he just apologize and not dig his own grave? As expected, Bonnie's expression turned furious. What? What kind of logic is that? Why are you mad? You're the one I treasure the most. Shouldn't you be happy? Who do you think you are? I didn't think you were such a person. Bonnie was nearly on the verge of attacking Ben as she cried and screamed. And I watched her with a cold gaze. What are you saying? It's because he's this kind of person that he cheats without remorse and has zero paternal instincts. He even tried to get rid of the baby, right? Bonnie stopped crying and stared at me intensely. Both of us lacked judgment in men. Shut up. Don't lump me in with you. She snapped at me and then turned her anger back on Ben. Don't think you can do this to me and get away with it. That's my line. Playing the victim, but you were complicit with the aroma oil, right? I told Bonnie sternly. I've reported it to the police. Both of you will be arrested for assault. Be prepared. Of course, I recorded everything you said today as evidence. Ben looked at me with a panicked expression. Arrest? Are you going to rat out your husband to the cops? If you do that, the baby's father will be a criminal. The hospital has a duty to report. I think the chief has already reported it. Don't worry, we're getting a divorce. Ben and Bonnie exchanged wary looks, then started frantically defending themselves. I had nothing to do with it. The planning and execution were all Ben's ideas. Hey. When I complained about my nagging wife, it was you who said to make her sick with aroma oil to drive her out. What? You were the one who came to me saying you were tired of her, but divorce was too hard. You asked if there was a good way out. The aroma oil was a brilliant idea. Such a scary woman. Do you have a criminal record or something? The nerve. Ugh. This is the worst. I went along with it because you said it would be fine, then you cheat on me with other women. And everything gets exposed so easily. I should have never gotten involved with you. As Bonnie continued to cry and scream, Ben clicked his tongue in annoyance. Annoying. Women think crying will get them forgiven. Such stupid creatures. At that moment, someone rang the intercom. Yes, we've been expecting you. Please come in. Ariel responded cheerfully, and Ben asked in confusion. A visitor? Yes. Our division head. Bonnie suddenly stopped crying. The division head? I live-streamed our conversation to the company's group message. Then he decided to come over. Ben paled significantly. No surprise there. The division head had served as the mediator at our wedding. Thus, Ben had tried to avoid divorce to not disgrace the division head, attempting instead to make me sick and send me back to my parents. Ariel let the division head in without paying attention to Ben's panic. After a while, the division head appeared, his face ablaze with anger. Ben, with a strained smile, and Bonnie faced the division head as he declared. Both of you will be transferred to a clerical department starting tomorrow. No way. I was just caught up in this. I was about to be promoted to section chief in the spring personnel changes. Will this delay my career? The division head's temples bulged with veins as he glared sharply at Ben. I had high hopes for you because you seemed diligent. But to think you were such a person. I'm disappointed. But, sir, it's her fault. I didn't even want a child. And she went ahead and got pregnant on her own. The division head glanced at Ben with icy eyes as he tearfully pleaded. You're not just at risk of delaying your career. You're a candidate for the next layoff. If the company's performance worsens, you too will be the first to go. I hope you understand your situation. Ben's expression turned to one of despair as he was dismissed. The division head then turned to me and bowed. I apologize for the trouble my subordinates have caused you. We will take full responsibility. Please let us know if you need any testimonies or such. I'm sorry for the trouble as well. I apologize to the division head. Meanwhile, Ben and Bonnie slumped to the floor, downcast. Did they really think they could continue living peacefully after treating me this way? Their audacity astounded me. I'll start preparing to go back to my parents' house with Ariel's help. Send the divorce papers to my parents' house once you've signed them. I'll claim alimony and child support through a lawyer later. After ensuring Ben weakly nodded, Ariel, the division head, and I left Bonnie's apartment. The next day, Ben and Bonnie were arrested for assault, but were released a week later on probation as first-time offenders. They broke up soon after. Despite returning to work, they resigned due to the cold treatment from colleagues and the spread of rumors within the company. I received alimony, so frankly, what happened to them afterward didn't concern me. Bonnie went missing, but Ben, disowned by his in-laws, is barely scraping by with multiple part-time jobs. Ariel mentioned seeing Ben in the city, and he was like a shadow of his former self, working at a big corporation. My in-laws, who had always treated me well, came all the way from the countryside to apologize after learning about the incident. I have no grudges against them. Recently, when my daughter was born, they cried with joy. I plan to take her to visit them during the holidays. If she ever wants to meet her father when she's older, I'll consider it under certain conditions. Seeing my daughter's innocent smile makes me pity Ben for saying he didn't want such a cute child. Being a mother is tough, but I'm truly glad to be her mom. I look forward to warmly watching her grow up with people who love her.